often think that fear is something that we experience when our hands get clammy, or we start to feel our heart rate accelerating, or we feel anxious, or, we're just petrified. Well, that's only under extreme conditions, because the truth of the matter is that most people have become so accustomed to living in fear that they don't even recognize it. But how fear plays out, particularly in preventing or keeping you from loving yourself, is that, number one, it will never allow you to even see yourself. And part of loving yourself, of course, is to be able to see yourself. You must be able to accept yourself. And you won't be able to accept yourself if you can't see yourself or hear yourself. And of course, if you don't know yourself. When you have a false idea of yourself, you are constantly looking at yourself through the eyes of others. You have started to, or perhaps are a master at contorting yourself to try to feed or earn that person or those people's love and respect of you. When that love or respect or acceptance is dangled in front of you like a carrot, and you feel void of love itself, you will do almost anything to experience love, even in its most distorted form. And so what happens is, the more that you accomplish that, the more that you become that person that someone else wants you to be, or you see yourself as finally measuring up to it, and you have gotten so far away from your true and authentic self, well, what happens is that you have to keep that image. You have to protect it at all costs, or you will no longer be worthy of their love. And so what happens then is that fear steps in, and you become paralyzed with the fear of exposure. You're not enough. You're not worthy enough. You're not lovable enough. You're not pretty enough. You're not smart enough, funny enough. All of those enoughes. You see, as long as you are working to prove your worthiness to another, you will have fear of the exposure that you're not enough as you are. And you will do whatever it takes to maintain that, out of the fear of abandonment or no longer being loved. And what happens then is that in this fear of not measuring up in some way, you will also become so fearful that you will stop reaching for what it is that you truly want. All of those yearnings of your heart that are meant to guide you, to take you where your true happiness is waiting for you, to bring you to this place of self-love so that you can step into the true love that's waiting to love you. It will always stay outside of your grasp. You'll be unable to receive love because you will constantly be rejecting yourself with the belief that you're not enough as you are. And so anyone who does come into your energy field wanting to love you, you will reject them. You may not realize it, because again, that fear is a master of disguise. But it is what happens. I've seen it. I've experienced it. And as I've told you, I have had this privilege of working with people all over the world. And everyone when it comes to this place of true recognition about our patterns and how we have been sabotaging ourselves all along, this will come as such a shock to you that love was there all along, waiting to love you. And you rejected it because your innate belief, through the eyes of fear, is that you're not enough. And then what happens? If you do allow yourself to receive that love, even just the little crumbs of it, you won't be able to hold on to it. Fear will not allow it. Fear needs you to stay fearful, or it no longer has a hold on you, no longer is able to control you, and it no longer feeds off your energy. Energy is always seeking out other energy just like itself. When fear rules the roost, it must activate the fear within you so it can feed off of your fear. And then, of course, it grows stronger and stronger and more masterful at disguising itself, because it has to always stay one step ahead of you. It has to stay prepared for you to get a glimmer of light, a glimmer of hope, a glimmer of remembering who you really are, and that loving yourself is the key for having true love in your life. So it stays 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps. It depends on how easily it overpowers you and controls you. And of course, I deal with all of this in Self-Love for True Love. It's why I created the program, because I experienced this myself. And I'm so privileged, blessed to say that when I got to the other side of it and I started to recognize how absolutely essential self-love was in my own life and where it was missing, well, the moment I started to take those actions to reach for what it was that I needed, I reached for guidance, I reached for support, I reached for a higher, a greater, a deeper understanding, and I reached for a different mirror that could reflect back to me where I was in that moment compared to where I wanted and needed to be. And this is what I offer you in Self-Love for True Love. I break it all down, step by step. I give you the processes to raise your vibrational frequency, raise your own perspective, change the prescription of the eyes that you're looking through. And once you begin to look through the eyes of love, there will be no turning back. I promise you. And what happens, of course, once you start to look through the eyes of love, true love is looking at you because it's been searching for you as well.